recording now. I'm Mike Shadow.
I'm Alex. Well, what's up, brother? How we doing?
Question of the day. Drewski, what is your question of the day, sir? If it's what we're doing today, the answer is we don't know. And I think that's the way this podcast is going. Forever and always. Will Drewski be 12 when he gets a full beard in 5 days? Ooh, so... Alright, this is a segment we didn't expect to have to cover yet, but... you know... you see... The council will make that decision. As you may be the rank of master, but you are not on the council. Would you agree with that, Alex?
That's valid. The council's got to be democratic. We just can't say yes or no.
Did you like the nice Star Wars reference there?
I love a good Star Wars reference.
I think that's one thing that I've noticed more being in sports than a lot of my other friends who work, traditional jobs. I've noticed we have a little bit more of... We'll make references to things like way far more often, just like in our general banter, than necessarily a regular office job would.
Fun of it, honestly.
Oh yeah.
I think a lot of it just has to do with how much marketing material that we use.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of like the references we kind of create and kind of remember from whatever material that we get to use.
Oh, I agree, and I think Star Wars, as a result, being really in the worlds of minor league sports, they're very heavy into the world of minor league sports, that they definitely will penetrate that market better.
Sure.
I can tell that you're playing a movie the show based on your attentiveness. I'm calling you out. I'm calling you out right from the beginning.
Yeah, I mean we're on the grind.
I
Some
get
program
that.
grinding.
No, I think I'll always work in minor leagues, and I love the fact that I kind of chose minor leagues as my route. If you want me to be completely honest. So let me pull up the show map so we can seem like we're gonna go somewhere here logically.
We're all about logic on this program. If you don't see logic from us, you're clearly watching the wrong show.
Or listening to the wrong show. Let's be real. Most people turn their computers on and just listen to podcasts so that it sounds like they're listening to the radio. Because all we are is talk radio. But like modern talk radio.
Did Mr. Sinclair refer to the league he wants to stay in forever? Because there's a lot of those.
No. The child did not.
I'm assuming it's the indoor football league of all places.
I think if he was going to go to the kicker route, but that's not the point here. So, Alex, a few things happened in the last 2 weeks in sports because obviously we took off last week. We're not going to acknowledge that chat from the child for legal reasons. A few things happened in the professional sports world here in the last week. Most notably, as much as it saddens me, I'm not a big basketball guy, and I'm very much not a Celtics fan. But they did, I know, close out the championship last night. Right? Last night, 2 nights ago. 2 nights ago now. 2 nights ago.
I know, yeah.
It was.
I got my championship T-shirt in the mail. Should be here tomorrow.
Nice.
So definitely the best impulse purchase of the week.
Or
maybe I did buy a trading card today, so we did do that.
So I'll go one better with impulse purchases. First of all, this is going to lead to a story that you'll probably hate, but that's okay. So my mom, this goes back to Christmas, gave me a gift card for Christmas to Amazon. I lost it. I found it today. Like, literally while I was cleaning up, eating dinner before the pod, I found the gift card. I washed my headphones. I use Samsung Galaxy Buds. They're the best headphone I've ever used. But the case doesn't work. The headphones still charge, but the case doesn't work anymore, and the case doesn't charge. So I bought a replacement case on Amazon today to hopefully fix that problem, because I would like to have my headphones again. So,
Quote the wise man. Very nice. Great success.
very nice, great success.
That might be a little too mature of a reference for Mr. Sinclair, but it's fine.
You know, I think we're gonna acknowledge Drew's comment about he needs some new earbuds. I will say these Samsung ones are awesome. It sucks you need an app though to connect them to an iPhone, so that kind of sucks.
It makes sense.
But I have run 2 marathons wearing these headphones. So they're pretty good. Bose headphones are pretty good. There's also a brand. They're a cheaper headphone. Now, it's a $100 headphone. It's a Nothing brand. Those look really good. Those headphones, I've heard really good things about them, and I want to try them.
Amen. Should.
They're also transparent, which is like very 90s, but I kind of love that. I kind of wish that more companies did more of like those 90s era transparent designs. That's when we peaked as a nation. When we had our transparent Game Boy Colors, and the N64s had the transparent shells. The iMacs had the transparent shell, which was fantastic, and I still want to get myself one of those and build a new computer inside the transparent shell, because I think that'd be fantastic.
Let me counter here. You know what? Put all the guts of a TV and extend it out about 6 to 8 inches.
Okay.
Now we're too flat, so we should just go back to the core era of TVs.
So I actually don't hate flat panel screens. I'm staring at 3 of them as we speak. I think the Devils absolutely fleeced the Calgary Flames for it. I think Jacob Markstrom still has quite a few years of good goaltending in him. I think Vancouver won the trade when they traded for him with the Panthers. I think Calgary won the trade when they've traded him for Markstrom. And I think the Devils won the trade. Now, unless Markstrom decides that he doesn't know how to play hockey tomorrow, right? Like, if he goes to New Jersey and he realizes it's the New Jersey Devils and forgets how to play hockey, then maybe Calgary wins that trade. But if Markstrom plays any level like he has the past 10 years, now he is an older goalie because, again, I can say he's been around for 10 years. I think the Devils win the trade unless he gets demoted, because I can't think of the other word I want to use. Unless he gets demoted to the American League and spends a lot of his time with the Utica Comets next year, the Devils won that trade. That's the only way the Devils don't win that trade is if Markstrom's not playing in the NHL. And then at that point, the Flames are still retaining the salary, so...
Can we just pivot to the couple around hockey talk? And do you think Edmonton's going to come back all the way, or is Florida going to wrap things up?
So actually, we talked about that today at work. And I'll give you the exact take I gave today in the office. I said, if Florida loses by 1 or less goals, and 1 or less goals being it goes to overtime, like they lose by 1 in regulation or it goes to overtime, it will be Panthers in 7. If they lose by more than 2 goals, I think Edmonton will be able to come all the way back.
I saw at the I was looking at the TVs at the gym today before I started throwing some weights around.
I have to go to the gym after this. Thank you for reminding me.
McDavid is favored it for the Conn Smythe Trophy, though. I don't know that
So
dictates anything. But.
always your biggest name is always favorited for the Conn Smythe. If you want me to be honest, it's always going to be your biggest names. McDavid and Draisaitl are always going to be the favorites for the Conn Smythe because they're names and they played good hockey. But in this series, if you want me to be honest, in this particular series, which I realize the Conn Smythe is over the whole course of the playoffs, and that's kind of where it's the best player over the whole playoffs is who's supposed to win the Conn Smythe. I think Leon Draisaitl's been the best player over the whole playoffs. If an Edmonton player wins it, if a Florida player wins it, which I think they have a better chance of being the losing team winning the Conn Smythe, I think Bob still wins it. I think Sergei Bobrovsky is still the absolute front runner. He took a Florida Panthers team who was arguably very, very good, and he played lights friggin' out except for 2 games this playoffs. He's been by far the best goaltender, and he's faced a very good Boston Bruins team, a very good Tampa Bay Lightning team, a very good New York Rangers team, and a very good Edmonton Oilers team, and hasn't missed a game. He's the only goalie I think that played the whole playoffs, at least this deep. Because I know Skinner hasn't played the whole playoffs.
No, I think Bob's the only one.
Bob's the only one that's played every game, and I think if it goes 7,
that sounds about right. Yeah.
If it goes 7 and Bob keeps playing like he played at the front half of this series, how he played in that Bruins series, how he played in the Tampa series, how he played in the Rangers series, because honestly he's been just lights out solid. Like no goalie I'd rather right now. There's no goalie in the NHL I'd rather have than Sergei Bobrovsky.
Can I answer Drew real quick?
Drew, I think I can say this. I'm pretty sure both of us are on the Go Panthers train, actually.
Yeah, I've converted. But
Panthers are a fun team. Matthew Tkachuk, he's a
look, I want Jason Tatum's high school friend to win a championship too. If you didn't see that picture, now you know.
I did, actually. I saw a video too about it.
Then Drew, to answer your question, I did hit shoulders today. It was a big shoulder day today.
I lifted burgers today into my mouth. It's a very time consuming workout.
I did reinforce my shoulder workout with a couple pints today, so you know we're gonna see the gains tomorrow.
Good. Yeah, no, it's definitely where we're going. Is I think the Panthers are one of the more fun teams in the playoffs. I really wanted it to be Panthers Canucks for the final, because I like first Stanley Cups. I really do. So having the opportunity to see 2 teams that have never won the cup, I think it makes a more interesting Stanley Cup final as a result. I think the 2018 Capitals Knights Cup was one of the more interesting ones in recent history for that exact reason. Yeah, it was 2019 the Blues win. Bruins fans, I know they hate that, but that's okay. I love it because, again, first cups. Who else has won a first cup? Vegas, obviously, last year won their first cup. The Avalanche had won their first cup in a while.
I mean, the Celtics won their first title, and
the Boston winning a championship is... I'm not going to lie. It might be because I'm not a fan of Boston sports, but I kind of always root against them because Boston really does perennially win.
Yeah, and I mean, the 5.5 year stat kind of bothered me seeing that because it's like, I think most of that was kind of because, you see the Patriots doing their thing for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And, for us, both of us not being Patriots fans, despite where we grew up, like, I do respect, kind of looking back at it now that era's over, it just kind of like, you see how successful that actually was, and the fact that we got to grow up during that. But it pissed us off. This is opposing fans.
Yeah, they were such good teams, and I respect them. I respect the 2012 Kings are an amazing team. They are also the 2010 Manchester Monarchs, who are one of the only 2 Monarchs teams ever to not make the playoffs in the Calder Cup or Kelly Cup, depending on what league they were playing in. They missed the playoffs 2 years. It was 2 years Jonathan Quick was their goaltender. Um,
So I just want to.
I have.
Where was I going? The Tom Brady little gloat we were doing.
Oh, I respect the hell out of Tom Brady. I don't like him, and I'll tell you that I don't like him.
He is the goat though.
He's the best player. And again, I think it is. I think he managed to play in two systems that were perfect, and that um, were perfect for him. And of course, he was very successful in them, and good for him. Like, I do wish athletes success. I don't want any athlete to not be successful. Um, don't worry, Drew. At least your life wasn't ruined by Tim Thomas. At least Jonathan Quick is someone that plays good.
So we got 2 Drews in chat right now, so they're just kind of going back and forth. And
that's fine.
I'm just gonna be reading this, going back and forth, and I'm gonna be laughing the whole time.
I am too, and I appreciate everything about this. It makes my life that much better. That much better. Johnny Quick, good Connecticut boy too.
Shout out Northeastern Athletics on that one.
Is he Northeastern?
I mean, I'm saying he's from Connecticut, so that's where I was going with that.
The Northeast. I don't
know where he went. Couldn't tell you where he went.
I can't remember. So I'm asking the Google. I know he played for Reading. Well, playing for the Minutemen, he's an Amherst product.
Amherst. Apparently, you don't see the H in Amherst.
He is a ZooMass product.
Big party guy, clearly.
I mean, ZooMass is a fantastic college.
Very big safety school, but great institution.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't get into UMass, but that's because I'm a Massachusetts student that applied to the flagship university along with every other kid in my class, and I was lower in my class. Also, I was a dude, and I'm not gonna lie, I don't think they want non-athlete dudes.
You think
for the most part,
most of your high school class want to go south if they didn't get into UMass?
No. Oh, so my high school class, this is a big Midwest thing. We're going to talk about high school. I'm going to call out you Midwesterners on that. My high school class, most of them wanted to stay in Massachusetts. Most of them never wanted to leave, which was a little bit weird for me. I'm not going to lie. I always knew I wanted to leave New England. I didn't know where I wanted to go. I didn't know what I wanted to do to get out, but I knew I wanted to leave. Now, Massachusetts, the Boston area will always be my home. It'll always be my home in my heart. And I do love the area, and I'm actually super amped to be going home in 2 weeks to see my mom and everything. I did end up at WNE. I did. I went to Western New England University in Springfield. Drew, you're just mad because you didn't get accepted by a school that accepts adults, not children. I actually, if their law program was online, I would attend their law program online if I could. To be completely transparently honest. So, fair. I liked WNE. I thought it was a great school. It was great for me. It was not my first choice. My first choice was actually in Maryland. The first college I looked at. Stevenson University in Owens Mills, Maryland. Former Baltimore Colts training facility.
I thought it was still there. It's definitely still there.
The Colts training facility? It is. It's the gym.
I mean the Ravens facility, yeah.
No, it's not the same facility. Not the same facility. The Stevenson is built on the Colts. They had, I forget what the name was. It used to be an all-girls college. And then they bought the Colts facility when they left.
And then they became
they became a co-ed facility in like 2010, 2011. So they had just started accepting men. So they were accepting a lot of male students because they were a big nursing school. But I went to Acceptance Students Day down there, and that was like originally my first choice. And then what Western England brought me was they had stuff like they said, "Hey, we've taught kids for this long, and here's a book of all the sport people that have worked in professional sports out of it." But the big nursing school, like, I can tell you, I was all in on that school until I actually was there. And then I was probably one of like 10 guys that were accepted to Students' Day. And the rest of it was all women. And I said, and I quote, I said this to my dad. When we were driving home, I said, I think I will get in a lot of trouble here. And that's what solidified my choice to want to go to Western New England. I thought I would make mistakes. I also was going to play soccer there, because I was at one point a semi-decent soccer player. Not the best, but I was semi-decent. I could play the soccers well enough.
Some Division III attitude right there.
I firmly believe I could have played there, especially after seeing some of the kids that played on that team, and coming off the era where I was actually playing every day. I don't think I would have played past college if I did play. Hindsight's 2020, and I'm very glad I didn't play, because I would wind up tearing both my knees up really bad my freshman year of college anyway, and not really playing sports at all most of my college days, except for a little bit of intramural soccer, basketball, wiffle ball, softball, and hockey. It was ball hockey, not ice. I have not played ice hockey yet, but that's coming. But my knees are all messed up. So running a marathon the last 2 years has been fantastic on the knees, let me tell you.
I mean, I think my pitching arm is still kind of not there.
I've been throwing the weighted baseball around the last couple days.
Hey man, do you think TBD is pitching this weekend?
Oh, TBD is my absolute favorite athlete of all times. There is no athlete better than TBD/TBA. Depending on if he goes by his legal name or not.
Definitely.
A TBA will play for both teams.
Definitely a knuckleballer.
Definitely a knuckleballer. Plays for both teams. Plays every sport. Sometimes as a whole team. Just TBA.
Kind of been like he's kind of been this year's Red Sox team in a nutshell, you know. It's like the Red Sox are coming. So the Red Sox are coming here. So I'll be very much a New Englander for a few days, which will be fantastic for the vibes. But other than that,
we'll be there obviously together on Sunday.
Sunday, I just bought my ticket the other day for Saturday, so we know we're gonna be living.
I'm not going Saturday. I'm not doing anything Saturday because I got to do chores around the house and then pack up to go Thursday back to Boston. So
15-hour drive that
makes me so angry. I said my famous line yesterday in traffic, by the way. I was on 75, right? Going to work. I work downtown.
So, hold on, Mr. Sinclair. Where's he at if he's coming on the 22nd? So if he's coming on the 22nd, he needs to be here by like tomorrow.
That's Saturday, isn't it?
Yep. So we gotta ask Tressway for permission to have.
Oh, September. We don't care.
Drew, it's July. Drew, it's June. So we're focused on June sporting events, not so much Monday Night Football.
We'll talk about the NFL probably like a week before the NFL starts.
Once Hard Knocks is over, is when we'll start talking NFL.
But I'm not gonna lie, Drew. We are. I can tell you, my household, Alex's household, we're both amped for you to come out to Cincinnati and get to see you again for a couple days. Even if it'll be like in very short sprints. To say the least. To say the least.
So what's the? You want to get into the main event of the program tonight, or you want to? Anything else from the cover before we do that?
I think it's up to you, sir.
So I mean, I see the wheel of possibilities on the screen, on my screen. So.
Oh yeah, it's on your screen. It's not on their screen.
No, that's on my screen. Yep.
Cover IFL news. All right, there's one piece of IFL news that I care about. It's that my Green Bay Blizzard, the arena team that I've been a fan of since like 2004 when I started playing. I actually have it right here. Arena Football Road to Glory. It's keying out, but
there you go.
On
Great
my PlayStation 2. Since I've been playing that game, so that's 06, 07-ish. I'm sorry. Are the best team in the East. They're going to win the East. They're going to be the best team in the East, and I'm going to be all about it. I'm going to be hype. And I will buy their championship t-shirt when it comes out. If they win. If they actually win. In other news, perennial powerhouse, and I think that's the best way to put it, the Massachusetts Pirates have been struggling hard recently, and I'll be at their last game with QC Quad City on July 1st, and I'm pretty amped up to get to go to that because like watching games on YouTube is awesome. I love watching arena football, but there's something about being at the game, and I think every sport except for the NFL, I think, will follow the same trend for me at least. That being at the games is significantly better. The NFL, I do prefer to sit right here at my desk and watch the games because the beer is cheaper, the snacks are cheaper.
No, the Bengals got $6 beer. Apparently,
but they got like $80 parking.
That's a fair trade-off, but
I mean, to be fair, the only NFL game I've been to was Browns Patriots a couple years ago at Gillette. Well, especially in Cincinnati, there's not really a lot of the public transit, unfortunately.
Even at Gillette, there's not.
But you can take the train from South Station.
I mean, I'd rather park in some stranger's backyard. That's what a lot of people at Gillette end up doing, is make bank that way.
So the only time I went to a Patriots game, I actually met my buddy. He's from Woburn. And Woburn. So we met at South Station, and we took the T down to the game, and that was sweet. It was very easy. It was very convenient, and it was pretty rough being like the only Browns fan on that train though, because we got spanked.
Is that when the Browns were the Browns, or like Deshaun Browns?
This would have been pre Deshaun Watson, but it was after our 0-16 season. It would have been 20. It was 21 or 22. It was 21. It was 21. It was the 2021 season.
Is that Cody Kessler?
No, we still had it was Baker.
Oh, OU legend, Boomer Sooner.
It was Baker Mayfield, was our quarterback, and I still think the worst thing the Browns did was getting rid of him. I think the Browns should have just wrote out the end of the contract. We got rid of him on the last year of the contract and signed Deshaun Watson for guaranteed money when he wasn't going to play. It was so incredibly stupid. What was it No, it was 2019 season. It was the 2019 season. Damn, was it that long ago? I don't know. It was a long time ago. Whatever season it was is not relevant to the story at this point because I don't remember when it was. I do know Baker was the quarterback, and I do know it was at Gillette, and I do know that Nick Chubb got a rushing touchdown in the literal first drive, and then the Browns decided to not play football anymore. And it was October, and it was not super warm, and I was just uncomfortable, and I was sad because the Browns got destroyed. And me and my Kellen Winslow Jr. jersey were not happy men.
Ooh, that's a choice of a jersey.
Hey, I've had that jersey since before the allegations, sir. And I just haven't bought a new jersey. I do need to.
I had a Heinz Ward jersey for a while. That was my main Steeler jersey for a good minute.
I've only owned 2 Browns jerseys in my life, and both have been Kellen Winslow Jr.'s. The first one I got in like 2003, and then when I outgrew it, my mom did get me a custom Kellen Winslow Jr. jersey because she knew how much I loved the old one.
That's what you got to do.
So, I'm trying to. I'm not gonna lie, I do want to get a new one. Nick Chubb will probably be my choice because he's just a fantastic football player.
I do enjoy using Nick Chubb is an S tier running back in this NFL.
Nick Chubb is an S tier running back in every NFL.
Oh, there's only one, so
fair, valid points.
There's
Valid. Drew's complaining because there's ads. I'm sorry that this is a free program that we subsidize my McDonald's with ads. I apparently haven't just called Drew out mode today.
You gotta specify which one here.
And I do apologize. This is not my character by any means.
This is not. Yeah, okay, that's only Drew Sinclair will get that reference.
I was getting there, sir. If you'd just give me a second.
Jesus.
The amount of progressive ads I'm getting on this wheel is...
explain your wheel, sir. I would love for you to do that.
So, first, let's load her up. So, let's hop into the meat of it, shall we? So...
We call it the main event of WrestleMania, but whatever floats your boat.
So we have a tier list of all the Office characters, because if you listened / watched was it the first one we talked about The Office? Or we've probably talked about it in all 3, honestly.
I believe it was the pilot that we discussed it ad nauseum.
But so we talk about it. We both love The Office. Quite a few of the actors are Massachusetts born and raised.
Steve Carell and I share a hometown. I've definitely made that public knowledge.
I know his niece. I worked with her. That was kind of cool. When I worked at the Children's Museum, that was the pilot episode. I remember because that's when we talked about the 22-minute Dunkin' Donuts run for lunch. Which if I tried to do it again today, I think I would die. Just I'd die straight up dead. So we have
no more podcasts at that point.
No more podcast because I decided to have 6 Boston cream donuts in 22 minutes and 2 Cokes.
Wild.
So, oh dude, I can get crowned when I'm home in 2 weeks. Drew the child just brought up crown fried chicken, and oh dude, that shit's so good. But so we have a tier list. Here are all the characters. You have Michael, Toby, Andy, Angela, Creed, Daryl, David Wallace, Aaron, Holly, Jan, Kelly, Kevin, Meredith, Nellie, Oscar, Pam, Jim, Robert California, Ryan, Dwight, Stanley. I don't know if we put Stanley on our wheel, but that's okay. Clark and Pete. And so we have a wheel. Oh, Stanley is there. Look at that. And we will rate them. I think we'll switch off. I'll let you pick the first. I'll spin the wheel and you can have the first take, sir. How would you rate David Wallace? Actually, kind of an elite one to start with.
It's not a bad 1-1 here.
Yeah, where you want to put him? Obviously, the tiers we have are S to F, with the best being the S tierist of S tier people, and there will be just one.
I'm gonna throw David Wallace in that A tier.
A tier. Any rationale behind it, or just?
I mean, I think whenever he was in, it was always when Michael was up to something. I think he was also the voice of reason behind when I think the Michael Scott Paper Company was around, kind of convincing Michael to come back.
Mm-hmm.
But also him being that voice of reason whenever the Scranton branch is always up to some kind of tomfoolery.
Oh,
at The Office.
no, I agree. I think he was a fantastic character. Solid. I think he was a character you needed to keep the show going in the long run. And I think that's kind of like what your A tier characters have to be. They don't necessarily have to be your main characters, but they have to be your more important background characters at the very least. And I think even some of your S characters I think would fit that same description.
I think my prognosis for this whole ranking we're gonna do is just gonna be you're gonna see a lot of A characters. I think.
I think so, except for this one, Pete. I think Pete is a dog shit character. I don't like Pete. He's only in that season 9 of The Office. Maybe some season 8. No, it's all season 9. He's one of the 2 interns. He's very clearly the character that's supposed to be the new Jim. But we're not going to have E tier. I think I'm going to delete E tier because that's just ridiculous. We'll do like school grading and S. So there will be no one in E tier. I think Pete is just. It's not that he's a bad character. We didn't have enough time to meet and grow with Pete.
Meet and Pete, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. It's nothing against Pete. I think he had the potential to be a very good character, and I think I have very similar opinions about Clark. I just think Clark is a better character overall. And exactly, Pete is just filler. Unfortunately.
Great take by Drew.
Yeah, I agree. I get friggin' Pete, and you get Jim and Wallace.
Well, I just got Jim.
Yeah, Jim.
I wasn't paying attention clearly.
Jim.
For me, I'm
I'm
throw
just placing
Jim.
him there so that I can scroll the thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna put Jim in that S tier. For me, because Jim is just a comedic mastermind to a degree.
No, I agree. I think
It seemed like Jim always had a Jim. I feel like Jim hated Dwight low key though, so he'd always fuck with Dwight just to have the upper hand on him.
so. I disagree. I think Jim really liked Dwight, and he thought he would be a good, like he could take the joke, right?
Yeah.
Look at the season 3-4 time when he's trying to prank Andy, right? It just doesn't go over as well. And I think especially having worked with you and other people, I think the kind of relationship I have with those people and the people I'd be willing to fuck around with at work, for lack of a better term, and do those sort of things to, are people I genuinely like, because I think A, you'll take it better, and B, you would actually agree with why I'm doing this, and like I'm making this really mundane fun. And I think that's kind of what Jim's whole character is about, making this very mundane sales job, which, let me tell you, as a salesman, it can be a pretty mundane job, and bringing some life to it. Makes you want to go to work, makes your coworkers want to go to work, and so that would be my argument for Jim liking Dwight.
Do you have a favorite Jim bit, like your penultimate Jim moment?
So I'll say there's probably 2 that always, for me, reach that top tier. It's the identity theft bit between him and Dwight. It's one of the funniest bits in all of The Office. And then Asian Jim. Asian Jim is one of the best pranks that's out there because it's so elaborate. And I will say, honorable mention of those also, the Matrix bit. The Matrix bit is a very good one.
So you did take my 2 in that order, actually.
I did. Would you agree with all 3 of them? Kind of being the
I'm
top
gonna throw
3.
my favorite 2. My other favorite 2 are gonna be the vending machine bit.
Okay, I actually just watched that episode the other day. That is a fantastic one.
And then my favorite one was when he took Dwight's desk. Or there was a couple things that involved Dwight's desk. When he took Dwight's desk, gift wrapped like a bunch of cardboard boxes together,
Mm-hmm.
and it just all collapsed on him. And then when he put Dwight's whole desk in the bathroom.
That's a good one too.
And then probably we'll wrap it up with the when Jim got the 500 yards of red wire.
I was just gonna.
And then when you see Dwight going up the telephone pole, Jim's doing the confessional.
So another good one, and I think it's just becomes underrated. Again, I think sometimes the more elaborate, the less good it is. The Dunder Code kind of fell flat when he works for the company Athlete, and then the Dwight faxing himself once. That bit about the coffee. Those are two great bits that I think don't hit as hard as they could.
I do think when he
the stolen stationery from the future, it's a good one. Dwight from the future is funny, but I think it's a bit that. And again, I think this is going to go back to my 40-year-old virgin take. It's a bit that kind of ages the show, and I think that's part of the problem. Why I don't find it as good.
Then
it's hilarious, and like I wish I could work in a job where I could fax someone notes from themselves, because I think that'd be fun. And I think I have former coworkers that if I faxed them messages from themselves from the future, it would be fun.
Shout out Perry.
And they would appreciate it.
Shout out Perry on that one.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna wrap up this Jim bit with when he pairs Dwight's cell and his office line to his Bluetooth.
That's a good one.
You remember that one?
Yeah. I watched that one the other day.
Yeah, that one.
I've been watching a lot of the.
They repeated this. It was basically the same joke twice, and I'm just kind of like not over that.
It was a good one, though. Like, I'll take it.
It was good, but like, it was the same joke. They basically did the same joke twice.
I'm okay with them. I'm okay with recycling jokes as long as they're good. And I think that's kind of my thing. A recycled joke is a good joke. Or a recycled joke is okay as long as it's a good joke, is going to be my take on that.
Your next character is?
Come on, give me someone that's valuable. Creed Bratton. Alright. Hot take. He is probably one of the most underrated characters in The Office. I agree. I think there's a lot of Creed bits that actually are some of the more memorable things. Is Somebody Making Soup? Is one of my favorite ones.
The one about
Creed as manager is funny.
Yeah.
We're making acronyms. Bo Body. Strike, Scream, Run. And this is why I will say, I'm gonna get wild. Creed's actually kind of an S tier character for being a background character, because I think there's not one bit that Creed is in that is bad. I think every bit Creed participates in is good, and I don't think I can say that about every single character in the show. I think almost everyone, there's at least one bit where it's either too long, too strange, or it's just there's nothing about it's just it gets to the point of being unfunny, and I can't think of one with Creed that actually fits that mold. Where Creed's a pivotal part of it, because I mean obviously like everyone else in The Office, they're usually all in all the bits.
There's one where I keep seeing the one where he talks about I forget who said it. It was something about being in a cult, and Creed's like, no, that's not how that works.
Yep, I've been in many cults, both as the leader and a follower. Now the leader is more profitable, but as a follower is more fun, or something loosely is the quote. And then there's no one steals from Creed Bratton. The last person that did is William Charles Snyder, which is Creed Bratton's original name. And I think that's a really good joke. He has his actual passport and stuff, and it's just like it's jokes like that, and I think it's because he used his real name, and like they kind of just used his real person as his character, and they're just like Creed be Creed. Obviously he was the only one that didn't have to act as a result, because it was like, what would you do in this situation? Oh, and the blog. and Creed's blog. When the paper comes in and said he wrote his obit, yeah. The one year I decided not to do my job, there's a problem with the paper mill and the watermark episode. He gets a random, again, it's a side character, obviously it's for story, gets a random person at the paper mill fired because just doesn't do his job. Like, I don't know, I think Creed is one of the most lovable characters in The Office, despite being a definitely a ensemble character, not a main character. But I think he's still I think he is the best of the ensemble. And I will die on that hill. For the points I've set forth here for your consideration.
We're spinning the wheel.
Yeah, we spin in the wheel. I'm glad I got Creed, though, because I think I could defend him better. Really poorly spelled Meredith. Because I can't spell. Where do you want her?
Throw Meredith in the A tier, to be honest.
I respect that.
Again, yeah, I mean, she did have some of her timing is really good.
Oh, some of her stuff's amazing.
She had great timing. It was just like, that's why like some of it was just the same bit, and kind of tell it was the same bit.
Mm-hmm. And I think
like they spaced it out. They spaced it out enough to where it was still funny because you expect Meredith to like say something kind of off the cuff like that.
Mm-hmm. I think the thing that really kind of would demote Meredith a little bit is when you get into the later seasons, especially season 9, when it's probably the last episode or the second last episode, the wedding episode between Dwight and Angela.
I think it's the last.
Actually, it is the last episode. When they're having like the bachelorette party or whatever have you, and her son is the male stripper, which, by the way, a very funny bit overall. But like, I knew what she was gonna do to the point where like I was like, well, this isn't funny because like I saw it coming from a mile away, and so I think it was less funny, and it's one of those bits that doesn't remain funny to me. Whereas like, again, we'll go back to my examples with Creed. I think those bits stay funny longer.
Creed definitely had the better delivery.
Oh yeah, and I think he just.
That was my dividing factors. That Creed definitely had the better delivery, but some of Meredith's were just so out of pocket, like they just made sense.
Oh, and Meredith's a fantastic character, and I don't disagree with her being an A-tier character. I'd say she's probably it would be a lower A-tier character, but still an A-tier character.
Yeah, no, she's a fringe A-tier for me.
Yeah, fringe A, fringe B. We'll see. She may move based on
Yeah, no position is really locked. I think there's a few locks, but like everyone else is pretty variable.
All right, and now we have Angela. So I would say I think it depends on what season is the biggest thing with Angela, because I think the first 2-3 seasons she's a solid C character. Like, she's just the voice of reason in the accounting department, and just she's clearly with Dwight and everything, and they're doing their thing. But honestly, I think she probably near the end becomes, again, kind of like Meredith, kind of fringe A, fringe B type character. And it's just, I think because she is an ensemble character, she's not really a main character, and she's just really there to elevate Dwight's character, at least in my opinion.
I can agree with that.
She's probably a B character, but she is just borderline missing A, I think. I think the fire when she has the cat and she throws him through the vaulted ceiling there, and the cat comes just crashing through is hilarious. And then exactly, Save Bandit. Like that's her best bit in the whole show. I can't really think of any other like stuff. Dwight and the Farmer Girl were a potential power couple. We'll cover that. Don't you worry. All right, you get probably one of the better characters in the show, Dwight Schrute.
So I think we were talking about this earlier, and I think this will be the very much hot take to some. Dwight's the anchor of this program once Michael Scott leaves, so I'm throwing him very much up top there.
I was gonna agree with you. Like I said before the show, I think Dwight is the absolute best character in The Office.
And I think for a while you kind of have it be so centric around Michael Scott that once he leaves, you kind of realize how much Dwight kind of like piggybacked off Michael. So kind of seasons 8 and 9 were just Dwight taking over, and you don't really notice the transition.
I agree. I think the other thing is Dwight had so many bits throughout the show, and I think Jim's very much the same, but I think the reason Dwight is the best character is Jim, Pam, Michael. The other three that I think are the front runner most for, like, you can easily say the best character in the show, all leave. They all are leaving the office. Dwight is the only one that stays the whole time, minus the short stint with Staples. But even that is hilarious.
Even like I think with Dwight is like he reacted to Jim's pranks so well. Like the way that Dwight would just react to everything when he didn't have to, or like he kind of just like no, just in general, just how he reacted to things.
Mm-hmm. The mock phone call is. Yeah. I think that's one of the Jim pranks we don't talk about as much because I don't really see it as a Jim prank. I see it as a Dwight moment.
That's a Dwight moment
that Jim's involved in.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing, right? You look at the Dwight Michael interactions. You look at the Jim Dwight interactions. You look at the fact that Dwight's always looked over. Also, the whole thing when he finally becomes manager, or is acting manager, and he has the pistol. He has the revolver. And he shoots it. He's just screwing around with it, and he shoots the floor with the pistol. One of the funniest bits in The Office. And I don't think it gets talked about very much because it's very real. Like, unfortunately, it's very real.
I think one of my favorite ones is when he finds the blunt in the parking lot, and he just basically just interrogates everybody.
Yes.
And he goes through the nines of just having the cop outfit and everything, but just Jim is just kind of throwing back kind of when he interrogates Jim, he just throws everything back.
And again, Dwight. I think he handles Jim. I think he handles the different dynamics of The Office the best. He handles the power dynamic between him and Michael very well. He handles it with Jim very well, if not really poorly at the same time. The voice recording pen, when Jim becomes the co-manager, and he's just literally listens to Jim's sales calls, like, I don't know. I feel like Dwight's just the character that is the most consistent in The Office, and you want to root for him most of the show. You may hate him, but you want to root for him.
I think some of my more favorite Dwight bits involve the beet farm too. Mm-hmm. Even if it's just an obscure reference to the beet farm, but when they actually go to the farm and have his brother there.
Yep, and to take Drew's point about the neighbor girl that could have been him and her being a power couple. Apparently, that episode was supposed to be a spin-off to a whole show about Dwight's farm, and I think I'd watch the hell out of that.
Easily.
It would be it'd be very easy.
I think it would have been what Friends was trying to accomplish with that Joey spinoff, if not more, if not better than that.
Which, by the way, Alex, we have to do the Superstore tier list at some point too.
Yeah, I got to rewatch Superstore before we do that.
Yes,
very relatable to some.
I think we need to.
Very relatable.
We definitely need to. It's easier to do this when you've been watching the show recently.
I haven't watched The Office in probably a year, so I got to get on that.
All right, Andrew Baines Bernard. I will say, I'm really between A and S on this one. I'm not gonna lie to you. Cause hear me out. Andy seasons 3 through 5, kind of a mid character. You just kind of hate him, and there's nothing about him. But he comes back from anger management, and I think the whole kind of weird couple dynamic between the love triangle rather between Dwight, Angela, and Andy really kind of boosts Andy as a character for me. But I think, again, a lot of his bits are just they're like, I think the funniest one is the boat when he's selling the boat and he just leaves, and then he comes back right in time for a meeting with Wallace, and they just had the best quarter ever. Like, that's the thing. Like, the show was able to carry on without him. And I think that's a lot of the characters. And I think that's the thing I think about the most when we're doing this. I'm like, how could the show survive without you as a character? And I think that's why I'll stick him as a B tier character. And it's nothing against him. I think he's a great character. I think if you're a B or above, you're a fantastic character in this show. And if you're a C, D, or F, well, you got some. Hold on, let me delete this E tier. Delete row. There. Better. We got this far in and I found a delete E tier.
Said it before you did it.
It's fine. You get Pamela Beasley. Oops. There it goes. Sorry, I accidentally pulled the tab.
There you go.
Pam.
I'm gonna throw. For me, I think Pam's definitely an S tier. Really, think about it. Her dynamic with Jim, but also Dwight at the same time, where like she joined in on Jim's side of Dwight's pranks, or the Dwight pranks and all that. But also, you kind of realize, like, really at the beginning, she's kind of like, you know what, I'm just here while I go figure out what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with the whole, what was she? Was she an art student, or was she?
She went to art school, yeah.
So that was like, all right, this is my angle for a while, and then kind of once it got the Jim and Pam storyline going,
mm-hmm.
You kind of see her open up as a character first, more so than really any other character early on. As like Jim and Pam's thing goes,
mm-hmm.
Kind of get other characters to start slowly opening up to who they are outside, kind of as whole characters, not so much just in the office.
Mm-hmm.
And then you kind of realize that. And then I see it as like, Pam stays very consistent as well. She doesn't kind of like tear off or kind of vapor off in any other direction. She kind of stays in one lane.
Mm-hmm. And
but the lane complements so many different characters and so many different bits at the same time.
I agree. I was actually just about to say a very, very similar thing. The other thing I think, again, kind of going back to our Dwight point, why Dwight is the best character, being the most consistent in the office. She does leave. She goes to the Pratt Institute. She interviews with the real estate company in Philly because eventually her life's going to move to Philly thanks to Jimbo. I think she's an S tier character, and you need her to really carry the weight of the show while she's around. But the show will survive without her. And I think that's the biggest delineation between S tier and best tier. If you accept my 2 cents as an opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I think if she and Jim never ended up together, I think Pam would have gotten written off, or maybe just become kind of her status as a character would have kind of stayed in the background.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree, and I think
since they wrote the storyline out the way they did, I think it kind of elevated her at the same time.
I think Jim also is just one of those characters that, same thing, he propped up everyone he worked with. I think Pam does the same thing. I think it's only fair that they are equals when it comes to that. Who do I get? Well, I get a pickleball ad for Walmart. So Toby Flenderson. So here's the thing about Toby Flenderson. We were originally going to leave him off the wheel for a bit and be like, oh, crap, we forgot him. We need to rate him. I actually think Toby's an A-tier character. Because I think Michael's sheer hate for Toby, A, elevates Toby as a character, B, the allusion to, but never confirmation of, him being the Scranton Strangler is hilarious. I think just the way he interacts with Kelly and all the other annex staff is great. I think the fact that he is just the HR guy that leaves and comes back and just has like these really stupid interactions. And then again, let's go back to the fact that he sticks around after Michael leaves and he still seems like he has the same role in the office, a new manager, and he gets treated the same way, and he's just like accepts it. He's like, well, this is life. But again, let's go back to that Beaumont Adams, because that was the gun, I just remembered it, that Dwight had. And the first thing Toby says is, oh, I get to use the gun violence in the workplace form. Like, he is just the most boring HR rep in the world, and I think that's why he's like this A-tier character, because it's the most perfectly written character.
I mean, like, Toby does have some good one-liners here and there too, but they're kind of so spread out, you kind of forget that he kind of can pull those out.
Oh, I agree. Sorry, I'm getting a drink. I don't have
a Dr. Pepper.
It's a cherry Pepsi because the Dr. Pepper is too far away. But I did have Dr. Pepper at the start of this.
What respect? All right, I got mine. I'm kind of keyed out, but it's here.
Yeah, we got cherry Pepsi. Second most elite drink behind Dr. Pepper.
I mean, Dr. Pepper's on the rise, and it should be studied in 100 years. The meteoric rise of Dr. Pepper.
You get Daryl Philbin.
Daryl, alrighty.
Where would you place Mr. Daryl?
So, I'm going to put him on a fringe A-B line for the fact that very early on,
So
the warehouse guys are kind of... I'll give you my decision at the end there.
Okay. Continue.
But, so at first, the warehouse guys are kind of seldomly used. You know, the basketball episode was kind of at least my first kind of thing looking at all those guys. Right, because they don't interact with Daryl and those guys unless they actually have a reason to.
Mm-hmm.
And when Daryl does go into the bullpen later on, right? Like
he gets that other office on the other side of the office that Jim would have prior when Saber comes through. And because he just goes from being the foreman to being the foreman, but working in the office side of things, which is a little weird to me, but that's neither here nor there.
So my thing about it is, like, I don't have an issue with it, where I'm going to put Daryl.
Mm-hmm.
But I've seen this meme kind of repopulate and resurface itself. Is that this man, Daryl Philbin, had Sean Alexander as his number one running back in the Office Fantasy Football League.
Uh-huh.
Trades him for a defense.
Uh-huh.
So I'm going to leave Daryl in the B tier over the fact of his fantasy football management skills.
We can agree he's the top of the B tier, right? Because I'm going to try to organize.
He is on the line. He is just under the line.
So I'm trying to keep him in like order. So like the furthest left, closest to the letter, is going to be the best person in that.
Yeah.
So
Daryl has some A tier moments, but he is a B tier character for his fantasy football management skills.
Alrighty. I have Taysom Hill every year, so I can't talk.
You also don't fix your lineup, so
I don't. I send it. All right, Robert California. I think he'll probably have stronger opinions than I will. I would say he's a very high A character. I think his very short time with the company, from interviewing for Michael's job to actually managing them, to declining the job just to go and get the CEO job of Dunder Mifflin, and then just all the stuff around him, his wife, to his eventual leaving. Just the way the show kind of leaves him off to kind of disappear after season 8, which is super weird, but that's okay. He is a hardcore an A character, and I think the party at his house is one of the funnier episodes of The Office in general. So that's where I'm kind of going with him to be an A tier character. I think he has such a short run with the show that it's hard, kind of like my point with Pete, it's hard to figure out where exactly he belongs because of his short run.
No, I'm with that. Because I think there's a lot of characters that are in there for such a quick burst in the grand scheme of like how long the show actually ran.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna have some decisions that are based on maybe half a season worth of episodes.
Yeah, and I think
at most.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. Like, I think
I thought the Robert California kind of little period they had there, I thought it was funny. I thought he was a good kind of transition bridge character for who was going to take over.
I agree, and I think we'll see as the show ages. Will those bits stay as funny, and will he, if we revisit this in 2 years, would we say the same things?
So I remember when you're not caught up on the Marvel movies, are you?
No, I'm not. I'm far behind, but I do have Disney Plus now, so I will we'll work on it. Don't worry.
So this bit went around for a while, so it's not like I'm spoiling anything for you. But there's a scene in, I believe it's the last Doctor Strange movie, where John Krasinski is Mr. Fantastic in a different universe.
Mm-hmm.
So
I saw that movie, actually.
So you remember when he says the greatest threat to the known multiverse is Doctor Strange, or whatever the line is?
Yeah.
Somebody cut that and had Robert California say, "Why is Jim treating the magician so poorly?" And I thought it was the funniest line now that they contexted it like that.
That's good. I like that.
But I forget the context of that line, so I have to go back and find the original Office clip on it. But
so I can tell you what that line's from. So another character, we'll cover it when we get Nellie, because it's relevant to Nellie. Hopefully she comes up next and the wheel's nice to us. No, I'm going to get the other intern, Clark.
I thought you got Robert California, so I get Clark.
Oh, wow, yeah, just the way you talked about it. Sorry.
Yeah, so Clark, I don't know. Clark is going to be above Pete because Clark had a little more life to him. They gave Clark more, kind of more airway or airtime or whatever. But, Clark still had a very short kind of spurt. So, yeah, you can put Clark right there.
I was going to say, the whole...
Like, Clark had more lines and more time.
And so...
But I still think, like, above Pete, but not kind of grouped together with anybody is where I'd put him.
Yeah, so actually, the reason I put him in D tier was... Clark and Pete's dynamic was supposed to be the Jim Dwight dynamic. At least that's what they were trying to sell us. I think Clark outperforms early season Dwight. Like, if I look at first season Dwight versus only season Clark, I much prefer Clark as a character to that Dwight. And I think if the show continued, Clark would really grow into this Dwight, and he had a lot of great bits with Dwight. and then he had the bit where to get the Scranton White pages, I think it was, he went on vacation with Jan, and there is innuendo, or it leads you to believe that he did adult activities with Jan as part of getting the deal. Actually, I think they outright say it. That he did adult activities with Jan. And they gave him a personality. They made him a character that we wanted to follow. And I think Pete never got there.
Yeah.
Alright, so this is mine because Clark was technically yours. Aaron.
So
I'm going to say Erin's a solid C character. And it's nothing against her as a character. I think she has the makings of being a great character. She joined the show, season 5? So she was on for a rather long run. 6, maybe? Whenever Pam's pregnant is when Erin joins. Prior to the Michael Scott Paper Company. And she just, as a character, is good. And then she has the bit where she's going to leave to go to Florida, but that just kind of really is a good Andy bit, trying to win her back and everything. And then, I don't know, she kind of felt like a Pam replacement that didn't quite do Pam as well as Pam. And I think she's a great character. I think she's funny. The Secretary Day episode's pretty funny with the whole going to lunch with Michael and finding out that Andy had been engaged to Angela prior. I think that's was some funny bits, and she had some really good moments. And then there was the secret codes with when Dwight's manager and he has the jewelry store door, and then he has the steam. Don't worry, it's not harmful steam. You wouldn't believe I'd like to get harmful steam, but you wouldn't believe the prices on that. And then, again, one of the better Creed moments. I'm saving a fortune on dry cleaning and just walks in with his clothes on hangers into the steam room. Again, I think it's bits like that, but she did very well. Her delivery was good, and it's nothing against her as an actor. It's nothing against her as a character. I just think her character always left me wanting more, and I think it's because she was supposed to be that Pam filler character. And I think Clark and Pete fall into the same trap where you expect them to be Dwight, Jim, and Pam. And they're just not. You know? You got the Stanley Hudson.
Stanley, for me, I'm going to put... So my thing with Stanley is that he had a lot of great reactions to things.
Mm-hmm.
But he never really had these moments where it was like he took over anything, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the whole heart attack saga is funny, but I think the people that carry that saga are Michael and Dwight. And Pretzel did the same thing.
Yeah.
You think A?
I'm gonna put him in the fringe S for a couple of reasons.
All right, so you're saying here,
yeah, right in there,
or right there.
I'd say right there.
All right.
I think because my favorite thing about Stanley was the meatball bit. Because Jim was trying to find a way to get Stanley to crack, would never do it, and then it was the most simple thing of just putting meatballs in his desk drawer that got Stanley to crack every single time.
And I think when it comes around, right, and it kind of, and Dwight's the one that explains that, what it is.
Yeah.
It's one of the funnier bits. It's better. It's hilarious. I do enjoy it. But again, I think it's more of a Jim Dwight moment that Stanley just is involved in.
Yeah, I think that's what made Stanley just made the character work so well, is that he didn't need to have any standalone bits. It was just
And then
more him kind of being there.
I think the best
The
Stanley.
fact that like everybody would be so energetic and enthused with things, and the Stanley would just be like, "No, shut up, let me work,
So the
let me
two.
go home."
So I think the two best Stanley bits both come in season 1. I think Diversity Day, with Who Am I Supposed to Be, when Michael has all the very very racist stereotypes on the index cards and Stanley got black. I thought that was one of the funnier ones.
It's one of the best episodes.
It is. I think it aged so poorly, and that's what makes it amazing. Like the world we live in today, just that would never air on TV, and I think that's what makes it that much funnier.
Yeah.
Number one,
There's,
and then
there's so many Office episodes that wouldn't fly now because it's how PC things got to be.
oh, I agree. And then I think the other best bit is the basketball episode when Michael's like Stanley, obviously, and then Stanley just dribbles like such an unathletic person. It's amazing. It's perfect. It's some of the best writing I've ever seen. For a character that has so much potential, they managed to make him not entertaining, and I love that.
He's almost unentertaining to the point where he is.
Exactly. All right, Nellie Bertram. So she is a B tier character, and for a couple reasons. One, very short run with the show. Two, she starts as that special projects manager, the Saber store that fails amazingly, and then she just is this weird filler character the rest of her time, right? But so to go back to your Robert California point about the magician, right? When she moves into her apartment, Jim and Dwight, as you know, are helping her move in, as they say, Hall and Cube, because it sounds more fun, or something of that nature. And I forget what name was on the box, but long story short, long recap short, I guess, is Nellie's ex-boyfriend or husband, I don't remember if it's exactly explicitly stated, is a stage magician. So they're going to have the really crappy welcome party because no one likes Nellie. And so Jim's mean to the magician because he knows. And that's where that Robert California quote of, "Why is he being so mean to the magician?" comes from. And I think she is a great character. I don't think there's anything against her. I just think if either she had been introduced earlier in the show, then, because I think, again, it's the Michael Scott hiring where she kind of gets introduced to the show. And just her character doesn't feel fleshed out at any point until it's too late and the show's over. In my opinion.
Right.
What do you got? You got Kevin Malone.
Oh, man, this seems a little late for Kevin, man.
Yeah, I actually...
If this was a draft, Kevin would be the steal of the draft for character type.
If we were drafting at this point, I think Kevin would probably be off the board already.
Kevin would have been a top 5 round, I think.
I could see that.
All right. Kevin's an A tier for me.
He's got to be the top of the A tier then.
Yeah, no, exactly. So I put him in like that same vein with Daryl. This is that Kevin has had more moments,
I agree. I'll say it. The best bit in The Office, in my opinion, the best bit is the chili.
Actually, can we bump Kevin up a tier? Just a full tier?
Yeah, because I'm saying he's better than Stanley. I'm sorry. I'm making that call. We'll obviously reorganize here at the end.
Stanley down then?
Yeah, Stanley can get bumped.
Yeah.
Again, we'll reorganize all the tiers too.
Yeah.
We can reorganize all the tiers near the end here too. But no, I agree. Kevin is the basketball episode when he just absolutely is amazing at basketball, but Michael didn't want him to play. The chili. The whole sequence with the bar about getting fired. Like that whole last episode, he gets fired. He buys the bar. He and Dwight make up because he's just shitty at math, and like no one knows why he kept his job for as long as he did. And I think he is the backbone of that accounting department. Like obviously he's not the smartest one, but he is the backbone comedically of the accounting department. Because Oscar goes on the, as Kevin says, gaycation, and Angela's Angela, so.
Exactly that.
Holly Flax. So she's a solid A tier character. I think she's probably falls somewhere about there in A tier. She's a great character. I like her because she's supposed to be this anti-Toby, and Michael obviously has a very different feeling for her as a result. And he actually tries to help her and do all the stuff with HR, and then all of the PDA jokes with Holly and Michael. Them moving to Nashua. Them moving her back to Nashua. Everything about her character. And then, of course, the company picnic where she and Michael do the Slum Dunder Mifflin Millionaire, or whatever they call their little skit there. That tells you that the Buffalo branch is closing. Is some of the peak television on the show. So I have to say she's an A tier character, despite her short run. And a lot of the reasons I'm downgrading characters is because they have short runs, or they have bits that are so heavily carried by other characters.
Or it's like that's what a lot of the more. There are a lot of like novice characters that only had a short enough run, and even if they were early on, but you still remember them. But then again, the show like that, you can kind of sprinkle those characters in at the same time.
I agree, and I think Holly, they did it well because they brought her in, then they brought her out, and then people were like, "Nah, bring her back," and they brought her back to eventually bring Michael out of the show, which I think was just a really good move. Oscar. Where do you rate Oscar?
I'm gonna put Oscar kind of. I'm gonna put him A tier.
Probably about here-ish would be my guess.
About there. Yeah.
I think we kind of have similar ratings. I think we've shared our opinions about the show from the time we worked together to everything.
See, I think the accounting department, they're all A tier characters because they really do feed off of each other.
Again,
like they may not look like it at all to anyone, but like they really do counter each other very well.
Again, I think you know who I don't see on this list, and it actually bothers me. Phyllis isn't on this list.
I feel like Phyllis should have been on this list over a couple.
I should have looked at it. I could have added people probably, or I could have made the same one. But regardless,
yeah. I sent you. I just put the link in the roadmap.
It looks like someone modified this template on 5/30/2019.
Yeah.
But so we're going off the hand we've been dealt. So I think the accounting department averages an A. Sorry, thinking about Angela and her being a B tier character, again, I think it's because Phyllis, I think, carries Angela a lot. I think Phyllis is Angela rather is a B tier character, but Kevin's an S tier character, and then Oscar's a very solid A. So I think the accounting department does level off at that average of A tier.
Yeah, but I think that's why they work out so perfectly. Is you have them kind of all over the map in terms of like where you'd rank them in the grand scheme of the whole show.
Mm-hmm.
But they were all in the same tier. I don't think it would have made sense to me, at least.
I agree. I think it's weird because like sales. Look at the sales department. You have what we would say the best character.
Yeah.
Or so far, Dwight. We have Jim. Pam technically becomes a salesman. Stanley. And then Andy's the weak link of that department.
But even then, I think Andy still has some redeeming moments, but you're comparing him to the main weight of the show.
It would be like me. I drive a 2009 Honda Civic. It'd be like me comparing my car to a brand new Ferrari. Yes, it's a good car. I love my Honda Civic. Do you put a
bumper sticker on your Ferrari?
No, I don't put bumper stickers on my car. I think it's tacky.
Great answer, by the way.
So, I also don't think I've been passionate about something enough to put a bumper sticker on it.
We know a guy.
Kelly Kapoor.
Kelly?
So, she's not actually going to be a C tier. I'm just dropping her and dragging her. She is probably an S tier character.
Yeah. I think at first, my first watch through The Office, I couldn't stand Kelly at all.
I couldn't stand her either. I absolutely hated her.
But here's the thing. If we were doing this after my initial run through, I would put Kelly like B, C tier. But you realize like every office has a Kelly in it. You know what I mean?
So I'm gonna disagree with you. I think the first 3 seasons I hate Kelly, and then season 4 I start to like Kelly more, and seasons 5, 6, 7 she grows, and I think she feeds a lot of the good jokes. I think a lot of the best jokes are predicated in or around something Kelly did.
And that's the thing with her is like
the mock phone call.
No, what I'm saying is
Diwali.
With Kelly, like you have a person that has Kelly-ish qualities. So that's kind of the thing. I've worked with some people that remind me of Kelly to the point where I'm like, all right, I know I can relate this to 6 different people.
Oh, I agree, and I think she's a funny character, and
but then, as we were saying, like once I feel like The Office was a show about getting characters to open up.
Mm-hmm.
So once they wrote Kelly's arc of her opening up as a character, that's where I started to really like Kelly.
Oh, and I'm not gonna lie, I rooted for Kelly. It came to the point where I was rooting for Kelly. I realized I liked Kelly as a character.
Yeah.
And I think there are a lot of really good episodes with Kelly. You get Michael Gary Scott.
Oh, I mean, I'm throwing him. He's in the S tier. There's no question about it.
I'm gonna say he's probably the 3rd best character though. Fourth best, because he'll be 3rd in S.
So, they really made the first few seasons of The Office really centered around Michael Scott.
So I think the fact that season 1 is more or less a shot-for-shot remake of the original British Office with Ricky Gervais. Michael Scott, Steve Carell rather, casting choice, perfect. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think I read something that said they were trying to basically redo that bit for bit.
Yep.
And then once you have like seasons 2 and 3, you really see how Steve Carell took that roadmap from Ricky Gervais and just like ran with it.
Oh, I agree, and I think he played well with the others in the sandbox being the other actors. I think there was so much Steve and I don't remember Jim's real name.
John.
I think Steve, John, and Ren, and Jenna, our top 4 characters. Rain. Sorry, I call him Ren all the time because I read it wrong. And actually, Brian Baumgartner as well. Basically, that whole S tier and above, he took their characters and like how they were gonna play it, and he was able to twist it just so flawlessly. And I think the thing that keeps him from being the best character in The Office is the fact that the show was able to carry on without him and be just about as funny, for 2 more seasons.
See, I think that was the point. Like, I think in the right before Michael leaves, I think you kind of realize that's the direction they were going.
Mm-hmm.
But it really didn't never really got anywhere until you had a full season of no Michael to realize that that's kind of what they were setting up the whole time.
Oh, I agree 110%. But like I said, I think that's why he winds up falling where he does. Because I think he goes from being the best character, especially when you get to the Michael Scott Papers
The
company
company.
arc. I think that arc is one of the funniest arcs in the whole show.
Yeah.
But I think you get from there and you see, all right, well now they're starting to phase Michael out of the show. You still have a couple good bits here and there, but I don't think you needed Michael Scott anymore to keep the show alive.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of why he winds up falling, for lack of a better term, to this like fourth best spot in The Office.
Still an elite character when you look at TV as a whole.
Oh, I agree 100%, and I don't think. Did you like that I put it as Ryan started the fire? One of Dwight's best bits.
The temp.
The temp. I almost put it as the temp on the wheel. I'm not going to lie to you. So I'm going to say he's also an S tier character. But he actually, the longer he stays on the show, the more he starts to fall off, I think. Because like him as a temp is funny, right? He's just this guy trying to fit in, trying to make his way in the world, with no intent of staying in the office, right? Fast forward to him getting a full-time job with them. Still very funny like... character, and then he gets the job at he gets Jan's job at corporate, and then he does the whole cooking the books thing with the website, which is funny. It's a really good bit, and then his character is kind of after like the attempt at his redemption arc is just not great, and I think he has to be carried by Michael and Jim and even Andy through the rest of the show a little bit, like through that redemption arc and everything, in my opinion.
Hey, no, you're right there.
But he's a great character, and I think it's funny, and I think it's a really, I think he's a really good character, but I think he kind of does lean on all the characters above him to make things funnier, because like Creed's blog, which is obviously Ryan's, makes a Word document, and I forget the web address for Creed Thoughts, but it is a real website, by the way.
I think when they took the temp label off of Ryan, they kind of that's kind of where it all kind of went down for him.
I think they were like, what do we do with him now that he's no longer a temp? And he was one of the writers of the show.
Yeah, so I think they could have.
I think that's why they had to write him the way they did, because they need to write. I found this out actually pretty recently, that all the writers were the people that sat in the annex. So Kelly, Toby, Ryan. Kelly, Toby, Ryan. Who else sits back in the annex? John does for a little bit. No, Oscar doesn't. Never sits in the annex.
Kelly, you said Kelly, right?
Yep, I said Kelly. Kelly, Ryan, Toby.
Yeah.
But that's why they all sat back there, and then you get the last character. I'm spinning the wheel just so that it's fair. Shocking to nobody, it's Jan Levinson Gould. Drop the no more Gould.
You don't get a whole lot of Jan, so I'm gonna B tier Jan.
You're gonna B tier her. All right, I'm gonna say she's probably that level of B tier.
Yeah, just because I don't remember a whole lot of Jan bits, to be honest, because she was such a, you know what I mean? She was only there on a corporate visit type of day.
So I think some of the funnier Jan bits, and why I kind of placed her where I did within B tier, is you have Chili's, which is very heavily carried by Michael, but the Chili's, Sandals Jamaica, with that whole incident, and then her throwing the Dundee at the plasma screen, Michael's plasma screen TV in his condo, is kind of when she's doing the whole candle company thing. And then, of course, she has the White Pages CEO ship somehow, some way. And Clark has to go and win it for Dunder Mifflin that Andy immediately cancels because he and Jan have this ridiculous random beef out of nowhere. And I think that's kind of what we're working with on this. Actually, oops, I jumped the gun, Alex. Sorry. Anyone we want to move or relocate to a more reasonable spot / relocate within the tiers?
I tried to put everybody where I thought they'd be as we were doing it.
I did too, and I was trying to reshuffle them as we went, like, to make sense.
Yeah, and I think for the most part, it seemed like we agreed on everybody.
I think that's I think characters that didn't make the cut that I think would fill out this template. I mean,
yeah, Phyllis would, 100%.
Phyllis would be an S tier character, 100%.
Oh yeah.
I think she'd be the lowest of the S tiers, and I think Roy is a B tier character because he's just not around. He is very important to the story, but he's not around very much.
I think that almost elevates his character too, because like at first he first season he was most of his time was in the first season.
Yep, he's just Pam's arm candy, like for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
For the first season, and then by the fourth season,
once they kind of start sprinkling him in as a reference, I think that kind of
the funniest episode to me is Roy's wedding, when he's just working for the gravel company, and his wedding's at like 10 a.m. on a Tuesday or something. I remember them saying, and it's just his character is just so well thought out, but not on screen a lot.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of why I think it was a perfect fit.
And then I think the only other character that's probably not on here that's like even worth mentioning is D'Angelo Vickers. And I will say it, I think this is my hottest take. I think it's the worst Will Ferrell character I've ever seen.
Yeah. It was just,
he's funny, but he's uncomfortable.
Like, he was just randomly... I felt like he's just an NPC that was just placed. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
exactly. It was just, you're playing some sort of game, and he is the character you have to go to get this one specific side quest that you have to do to continue the main story. And that's all he is. You fulfill the side quest, and he disappears. And you never can find him again in the world.
Yeah, so The Office was just a Will Ferrell side quest.
I think so, and I think it really was like just trying to be a bridge between Michael and Dwight.
Robert.
Yeah.
He was in there before Robert, right?
Yeah, it's he is the one that takes over from Michael when he finally leaves. And then Charles Miner's the only other manager of Dunder Mifflin. That's what we can do. We could see if I would like to figure out. I'll probably watch The Office again. And we'll go through the chronological order of managers of Dunder Mifflin. Oh, and Todd Packer. He's also not on the list, but he's kind of like a D tier character as well.
He's just kind of in there for the shit talk with Michael and didn't like contribute much in my mind.
My opinion is he's like, not that we have a good example, but like our group of friends, right? That we all worked at the arena team. Yeah. We have a few outside friends that we bring in from time to time just to kind of flush out our story, right? Like,
he's MVS. He's MVS.
Yes. Yes. He's that.
He's MVS.
He's the friend that you need to talk about your outside life or the before you met that kind of explains something about you.
I don't think I ever got that story about MVS having.
I don't think I did either.
But, yeah, he's that guy.
I was going to say, Todd Packer in my career, the Todd Packer in my career is me talking about working in Manchester for the ECHL Monarchs. Um, and like
The city of Manchester, New Hampshire is your Todd Packer. That's just
yes,
a great,
yes,
great line.
because it's very important, especially now being back in hockey, back in the ECHL. Um, talking to people and being like, this is where I started, right? I was here. This is the me that existed before you met me. This is the me that you need to know about before you can understand the me that is in front of you today.
I feel like whenever my next move is, that's what the arena team is going to be, because it's that first spot in the business, so to speak. Whenever that day comes, whenever that day is coming, I hope that day is right around. But
and I think
that first landing point is you can make that Todd Packer reference for.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. It's where you were when you came into the industry. That's your Todd Packer, and it's very weird saying it that way because it just sounds super awkward and clunky to say it that way. But I can't possibly think of a more poignant way to put it. I'm trying to use big words to remind myself that I'm smart.
See, when you do that, that's where I lose you. You are the antithesis of using good words.
Good word. I like antithesis.
Yeah, you might want to write that one down.
I would have preferred to use the word epitome.
Antithesis rolled off the tongue first.
That's fine. I can't wait to watch this on YouTube because I'll put on the auto-generated captions when I watch us back after we post it to YouTube. And it's going to be great because I'll see these words like, I know what words I said. I know what words you said because I was here.
You're going to take notes of the words that you say, of all the big words you say, and you're going to just repeat them.
I will. You know what we'll do? At some point when we get far enough into this thing, we'll just do my best bits. And that'll just be the whole episode. You'll just be able to run with my best bits. And
there's a day I won't pod. You just decide to pod, and it's just like you have a picture of me just filling space.
I think I could probably just go for an hour and ramble if you gave me the loose outlines that we use. I think I could just go for an hour.
I'll send you a blank Google Doc with obscure old job references like this week's was.
Oh yeah, he titles the so Alex is rolling all of this.
There's backstory to that, but I'll let you finish that.
Yeah, so he sets up the Google Doc. We built roles here when we were doing this because we said, hey, let's try to be coordinated about this. So one of his jobs is on. It's usually Sunday, right? When you send the.
It's usually a Sunday when I'm like in the middle of something.
It's Saturday or Sunday.
I'll probably send you one for like 2 weeks from now, on Sunday, as if we were actually doing this.
Yeah. So typically, he'll send the Google Doc and he'll name it with a joke from our mutual stop with that arena team, some sort of inside joke. That's where the it's not my character by any means comes from as well. That's a joke within our team.
It's a very specific. It's within our circle too. It's not very much. It's that 2022 season.
Yes, within our general circle. And I'll or Alex or one of the others that fits will just blurt out that particular line, and it's the funniest thing in the world for no reason. For absolutely no reason is it the funniest thing in the world. Yeah,
so with this week's doc title, which I'm not going to explain, or I have to explain it now.
No, you don't.
Is that?
I think it's funnier if you
don't. No. So we're going into this because we're going to start using these words at some point. So you can refer to this exact moment of when we're introducing these words that are not real words.
And this is the moment we became an unprofessional podcast.
Anyway, so one day I was about to leave for the day, and this was like a conversation that was we were working on it for like a week or two. Is that I'm like, so what's a movie series that I could, in theory, combine as many nonsense words into it as I could? All right, so we decided on Star Wars, right?
Yeah.
So we put all the nonsense words into the context of Star Wars movies. And so I came up with all 9 Star Wars movies, integrating as many of the phrases as we could. So we revised it, I think, 2 or 3 times. You might have missed one of them,
I
but we
might have.
revised.
I can probably go to anyone that was part of that crew though and ask them for the final, and they probably could give me all 9.
I think I have the paper somewhere. I think it actually ended up out here. So I think I left it in my notebook that I used in that job.
That's fantastic.
I gotta find it. It might be at my parents' house too. I don't know where I put it, but it's the one thing I got our old boss to actually like crack up laughing about.
I do remember the final when you showed our boss it.
And he has a good sense of humor sometimes, but like this is the one thing that like he heard all of these words with us, so he knew what they were about. But the fact that we took the effort to put these into the fact we went to this extent, I think, is what got him.
Mind you, it probably took us an hour of total time.
Let's say closer to like 45 minutes, because some of them are pretty automatic.
Most of them were pretty automatic.
No, I remember because we were doing our fantasy football draft that night.
Yes.
So that's how we had the extra time off the clock to actually do all that, and I think it made perfect sense that it was that night over any other.
I agree.
Oh, I thought I had it. This is just a different piece of paper.
It's just a
I was hoping
piece
it was
of
that.
paper.
So that's my closing remark: is how we made our boss laugh over nonsense words.
Yes. Well, Alex, I think I'm gonna leave you with my favorite sentence I've ever said.
This is against my character by any means.
No. And
Very nice.
Nice. Fantastic. You got me on that one. I'm not gonna lie. I'll give you that. I got you. You got me. Good job.
Are you going to the soundboard on this one?
Fucking got me, dude.
Yep. You got me. I'll give you credit where credit's due. As you know, when we drove back to Cincinnati from Boston at Christmas time, what did I say on 84 in New York State? Because we were in New York at the time. Maybe we were in Connecticut still. I don't remember.
You're in Pennsylvania most of it.
But it was before we stopped at McDonald's, which was in New York. That's all I remember. That's the only reason I know it has to be Connecticut. It has to be Massachusetts, Connecticut, and New York, because the McDonald's we stopped at in New York, and we stopped at McDonald's after. I said it. The pedal on the right makes you go vroom, fucking vroom. And we will be back in 3 weeks. No pod next Wednesday. The week after, I'm actually in Boston. So it's going to be a nice 3-week gap. Well, 2-week gap, because we'll miss the next 2. Because I don't think we'll be able to go next week. There may be some stuff. Maybe a special pod on Tuesday or Monday. I forget what day we talked about before. So look at our Twitter at Boston to Skyline. I tweet at myself. Yeah, at Boston to Skyline on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. We will post something there if we're gonna come online. All right. Have a great night, guys.
See ya.